Mr. Thompson here. We're looking at U.S. History Standard 8, explain the relationship between slavery, growing North-South divisions, and westward expansion that led to the outbreak of the Civil War. In particular, we're looking at Part D of that standard, explain how the Compromise of 1850 arose out of territorial expansion and population growth. The Compromise of 1850 was 4 years in the making. Northern Whigs and Southern Democrats engaged in attacks on one another, debates over the status of slavery in the Mexican Cession. You know, those territories acquired in the Mexican War. Then the discovery of gold in California in 1848 rapidly increased the population over that 100,000 citizens necessary to apply for statehood. As a part of their plan for statehood, Californians drew up a state constitution that outlawed slavery in the proposed state. Southern politicians objected California's admission to the Union as a free state on 2 points. First, Southerners argued that the exclusion, so keeping slavery out of California, would violate the Missouri Compromise. The Missouri Compromise line would actually split the state. Second, Northerners already controlled the House of Representatives, and Southerners feared that the admission of California as a free state would then upset the balance in the Senate between slave and free states. So, of course, Northern and Southern representatives argued big time over California. No, it's free. No, it's slave. Henry Clay, who diffused tensions previously with the Missouri Compromise in 1820 and a compromise tariff in 1833, finally presented a plan that he hoped would solve this heated stalemate. Clay became known as the Great Compromiser for his skill to resolve these challenging political situations. Tensions in the North and the South were continuing to escalate over this idea of California's admission into the Union, and was it going to be free or was it going to be slave? Debates between John C. Calhoun, representing the Southern position, and Daniel Webster, representing the Northern position, raged over the bill. Numerous votes were taken, but extremists on both sides prevented the bill from being passed. Clay and Calhoun left the Senate too ill to continue because they both were really getting pretty old. In Clay and Calhoun's absence, Stephen A. Douglas of Illinois and Daniel Webster of Massachusetts worked to split the proposal into separate bills so then the congressmen could vote on each separately. The 5 bills were then moved through the Congress individually and ultimately passed. Collectively, the 5 laws were known as the Compromise of 1850. The provisions of the compromise included: first, the state of New Mexico would be established by carving its borders from the state of Texas. Second, New Mexico's voters would determine whether or not the state allows or prohibits slavery. Third, California would be admitted as a free state. Fourth, all citizens of the U.S., regardless of region, would be required to apprehend runaway slaves and return them to their owners. Anyone who failed to do so could be fined or imprisoned. The fifth, the slave trade would be abolished in the District of Columbia, but the practice of slavery could continue there. Despite the Compromise of 1850's passage, sectional tensions over slavery were only diminished for a short time. The expansion of U.S. territory to the Pacific Ocean had happened quickly and was viewed by many to be the country's manifest destiny. As populations of Western areas grew to the level of statehood, the issue of slavery had to be negotiated through compromise due to the intense sectionalism of the period.